Yes, good morning all. Today we are going to discuss about the software testing. Testing is the process of evaluating a system or its components with the intent to find whether it satisfies the specified requirement or not. Okay, so the testing is a normal routine which can be done at the time of purchasing a software or purchasing a purchasing a some type of system or otherwise any design or development at the before implementing to the customer, it should be tested. So testing is executing a system in order to identify any gaps, errors or defects or any missing requirements in the contrary to the actual requirements. So there are so many types of definitions, but we will take the standard definition according to the ANSI or IEEE standard. So testing can be defined as a process of analyzing a software item to detect the differences between existing and required conditions. So and to evaluate the features of the software item. Who is a software tester? So in the IT industry, large companies have a team with responsibilities to evaluate the developed software in context of the given requirements. Moreover, developers also conduct the testing, which is called a unit testing. In most cases, the software tester, can be assigned for the professionals as software tester, software developer, project lead, or manager, end user. Different companies have different designations for the people who test the software on the basis of their experience and knowledge, such as software tester, software quality assurance engineer, QA analyst, etc. So now, when to coming to the coming to start testing. Testing is done in different forms at every phase of SDLC. SDLC is acronym for Software Development Lifecycle. During the requirement gathering phase, the analysis and verification of the requirements are also considered as testing. Reviewing the design in the design phase with the intent to improve the design is also considered as a testing. Testing is performed by a developer on completion of the code is also categorized as a testing. When to stop test. It is difficult to determine when to stop testing, as testing is never ending process and no one claims that software is 100% tested, because whenever the user is uh, given that access to the software, so automatically he should obviously there are so many issues will be arising, and so many uh, defects or some performance related queries will be raised by the user. So in that case, testing is obvious at every stage. So that's why it is difficult to determine when to stop the testing exactly. However, the following aspects are to be considered for stopping the testing process. One is testing deadlines. Second one is completion of test case execution, completion of functional and code coverage to certain point, bug rate falls below a certain level and no high priority bugs are identified, management decision. So these are the some of the parameters which are taken into consideration to stop the testing. And coming to the verification and validation, these two terms are very confusing for most people. When you use interchangeably, they can be used interchangeably in most of the cases. See, the following table shows some differences between the verification and validation. Verification addresses the concern, are you building it right? And verification ensures that software system meets all the functionality. Verification takes place first and including checking for documentation, code, etc. Verification is done by the developers. It has a static activities and as it includes the collecting reviews, walkthroughs, and inspections to verify a software. Verification is an objective process and no subjective decision should be needed to verify a software. While validation is it addresses the concern, Are you building the right thing? And it validation ensures that functionalities meet the intended behavior. Validation occurs after verification and mainly involves the checking of the overall product. Validation is done by testers. It has dynamic activities such as it includes executing the software against the requirements. Validation is a subjective process and involves subjective decisions on how well a software works. Okay, so these are the major scenario which will be distinguishing the verification and validation process. And the next topic is the types of testing. We are having a two types basically. One is the manual testing, another one is the automation testing. Manual testing includes testing a software manually, that is without using any automated tool or any script. In this type, tester takes over the role of an end user and tests the software to identify any unexpected behavior or bug. So, in this process, there might be different stages such as unit testing, integration testing, system testing, user acceptance testing, etc. Testers use test plans, test cases, test scenarios to test a software to ensure the completeness of a testing. Manual testing also includes exploratory testing as tester explore the software to identify errors in it. Who is tester? Tester is a person or professional who tests the software. And second one is the automation testing. In automation testing, which is also known as a test automation, is when the tester writes the scripts and uses another software to test the product. This is the major difference. Manual testing includes a testing software manually without any automated tool, while automation testing is when the tester writes the scripts and uses another software to test the product. This process involves the automation of manual process. Automation testing is used to rerun the test scenarios that were found performed manually, quickly, repeatedly. Apart from the regression testing, automation testing is also used to test the application from load, performance, and stress point of view. It increases the test coverage, improves accuracy, and saves the time and money in comparison to manual testing. Okay, so next is the black box testing. We will see we are having a three types of testing. One is black box testing, second one is the white box testing, and third one is the gray box testing. So in black box testing, what happens is the test is being conducted without any knowledge of the interior working or internal program of the application. Okay, that is known as a black box testing. The tester is obvious to the system architecture and does not have access to the source code. Here we are not concerning any about the source code or internal program. Okay, only we are concerned with the architecture. That is the main point to remember. The test is based upon the architecture only, not in the based on the internal program or some source code, etc. Typically, while performing a black box test, a tester will interact with the system's user interface by providing some inputs and examining the outputs. Okay, but the user cannot know about the what are the how the inputs are processed inside. Nothing that type of observation is not considered here. The only thing is the user is uh, providing some inputs to the system and outputs are observed. This is known as a black box testing. Coming to its advantages, it is well suited and efficient for large code segments. Code access is not required. Clearly separates user's perspective from the developer's perspective through visibly defined rules. Large number of moderately skilled testers can test the application without any knowledge of its implementation or programming language or operating system OS. Whereas this black box testing also suffering from some disadvantages. The disadvantages are limited coverage because the internal operation is not considered here. Inefficiency in testing because It is sometimes inefficient. Why? Because the tester is having a little knowledge about an application, and blind coverage. Since the tester cannot target specific code segments or error prone areas, so that's why it is somewhat called as a blind coverage. The test cases are designed difficult to design. And coming to the white box testing, the white box testing is the scenario where the detailed investigation of internal logic and the source of the code is observed. Okay, white box testing is also called as a glass testing or open box testing. In order to perform white box testing on an application, a tester needs to know the internal working of the code. While in the black box testing, what happens? The tester does not have any idea or knowledge about the internal working of the system or source code. Okay, but in white box testing, the tester must have a tester must have a detailed knowledge of internal working or of the source code or a program, etc. The tester need to have a look in the inside the source code and find out which block, that is which unit or chunk of the code is behaving inappropriately. So coming to its advantages and disadvantages, it is somewhat advantageous as compared to the black box testing. As the tester has knowledge of the source code, it becomes easy to find out which type of data can help him testing the application effectively. And it helps in optimizing the code. Extra lines of code can be removed, which can bring in hidden default defects. Due to the tester's knowledge about the code, maximum coverage is attained during test scenario writing. Disadvantages. This white box testing is suffering from some type of disadvantages, uh, like the skilled tester is needed to perform it. Why? Because the tester needs to have a knowledge of what is inside the code. Sometimes it is impossible to look into every nook and corner to find out the hidden corners that may create problems. Okay? It is difficult to maintain white box testing as it requires specialized tools like code analyzers, debugging tools, IDE, like that. Okay? And gray box testing. Next one is the gray box testing. In gray box testing, it is a technique to test the application with having limited knowledge of internal workings of the application. In software testing, the phrase the more you know, the better carries a lot of weight while testing an application. Mastering the domain of a system always gives the tester an edge over someone with a limited domain knowledge. Unlike black box testing, where the tester only tests the application's user interface, in gray box testing, the tester has access to design documents and database. Having this knowledge, a tester can prepare better test data and test scenarios while making a test plan. So this gray box testing is having some pros and cons. The advantages are it offers combined benefits of black box and white box testing. Gray box testers don't rely on the source code. Instead, they rely on the interface definition and functional specifications. The gray box testing is based on the limited information available, and the tester can design excellent test scenarios, especially around communication protocols and data type handling. The test is done from the point of view of the user and not the designer. Disadvantages. Since the access to the code, source code is not available here also, the ability to go over the code and test coverage is somewhat limited. Of course, it is better than the black box testing, but it is still limited. The test can be redundant if the software designer has already run the test case. Testing every possible input stream is unrealistic because it would take an unreasonable amount of time. Therefore, many program paths will go untested. Okay, so next is a comparison. This particular table or slide is showing you different comparison among black box, gray box, and white box testing. See, if you know the basic definitions of this black box, white box, and gray box testing, this differences, you can do a comparison. Okay. So black box testing, the internal working of an application need not be known. While as gray box testing, tester has a limited knowledge of internal working. White box testing, tester has a full knowledge of internal working. Black box testing is also known as a closed box testing, while white box testing is also known as a clear box testing, whereas gray box testing is known as a translucent testing. Okay, and the black box testing is data driven testing, whereas a white box testing is structural testing or code based testing. Okay, black box testing is can be performed by end users and by testers or developers. Normally, white box testing is developed by the testers and developers only, not the end users. A gray box testing can be performed by end users and by the testers and developers. Testing is based on external expectations in the case of black box, while internal workings are fully known and tester can design test data accordingly in the white box. While in the gray box testing, testing is done on the basis of high level database diagrams and data flow diagrams. Black box testing is exhaustive and at the least time consuming, whereas the white box testing is the most exhaustive and time consuming. While gray box testing, it mixes the features of these two. That's why it is partly time consuming and exhaustive in nature. So, one more thing is whenever you want to test algorithms, you should not go for the black box testing or gray box testing. Only white box testing is suited for the algorithmic testing. Black box testing, obviously, it is a trial and error method. Okay, and gray box testing is data domains and internal boundaries can be tested if known. In the white box testing, the last point is data domains and internal boundaries can be better tested. So this is the basic of the class. That is what is software testing and types of testing, who is a tester, when to start testing, when to stop testing, what is a verification and validation, and manual automation testing. So in the manual testing, we are having a three types. So black box testing, white box testing, and gray box testing. The comparison of these three different methods. This is the topic which we learn in the today's class. If any of the students are having a clarifications, you can approach me. Thank you.